Hey, what's up, my witches? It's Luna here with a look at the new moon chart for February 20th, 2023. This is a new moon in Pisces, and if we look down in the bottom right corner to the bar graph there, we can see like things are pegged into the red on water and mutable. So this is a super strong Pisces signature. Pisces is about endings. It is past oriented. So, and emotionally oriented. So this is where we really look at what needs to come to an end on all levels, on the, the personal, practical level, all the way up to mindsets and belief systems and all that kind of stuff. Cardinal, if you see on the bottom graph there, is very low. So absolutely not time to start something new. This new moon is not about new beginnings. It's about a new, or if it is, it's always about a new beginning, but it's the beginning of an ending. So this is a cycle where we can just really look at what it's time to actually bring an end to and what that looks like in practical terms. Okay, so let's go to the chart. We've got the new moon at 1 degree of Pisces. Very empathetic. Sun, moon in Pisces. I have a Pisces moon. I soak up everybody's everything through my skin. And the sun in Pisces is all about service and, well, sacrifice, really. Virgo's service. Pisces is sacrifice. So it's putting the self, the ego, kind of behind others and looking at how we can help the underdog. Sun in Pisces makes us very conscious of suffering, our suffering and other people's suffering as well. And then there is the urge to do something about it, and the willingness to sacrifice in order to do something about it. We also have Neptune ruling that new moon sitting in Pisces as well. So that's why we have this super strong Pisces chart signature. So it's not time to get, let's see. No, I'm not going to start there. Sorry. Left turn. Okay, so one of the things I'm noticing, and I've been thinking about for a while here, is the fact that look at how, the planets are all in less than one half of the chart. And we don't actually have a configuration here because a bowl really needs an opposition to be a bowl, and a bundle, it's not tight enough for a bundle. So, but the planets are all contained within this very, this less than half section of the chart. And if you look at what we have, we've got Pluto sitting at a critical degree of Capricorn. Then we've got, along the way here, Saturn sitting at a critical degree of Aquarius. And then move to Pisces, and we've got Venus sitting at a critical degree of Venus. What are critical degrees? I'm looking at 28, 29 degrees. This is the last degree of a sign before it changes over. And in my live stream this week, I gave the example of think about whenever you're getting ready to make a big change, to go into new territory. For instance, if you're moving from your house, you're moving house. And think about if you're moving for a month or two, what it's like when you first start going through and packing and thinking about things, and then think about what it's like the night before the actual move, right? Things start to heat up, and it hits this critical mass as we're looking at this boundary line. We're looking at taking a leap into the unknown maybe, or just into something very new. And so that's why these are critical degrees. Things are reaching an intensity and a critical mass before it shifts into the next energy. And if you notice, we've got Pluto, Saturn, Neptune in that order in the last 3 signs of the zodiac. Uranus was the first one that busted out of that group and is now in Taurus. So what does this tell you? And if we look at it, there's only Mars, Uranus, and Jupiter that have gone out of Pisces and are, beyond those last 3 signs. The other 7 of the planets are in those last 3 signs. And once Pluto shifts, in March, we're going to see even, just the last 2 signs. So this looks to me like when I am doing a Wheel of Fortune spread in Tarot, which is a big tableau, and I'm seeing like 9s and 10s, lots of 9s and 10s, and aces coming up. It tells me that you're at the end of a cycle. The new cycle has somewhat begun, but the emphasis is on things are culminating to the end of a cycle. So that's the feeling here, is we've got a couple heavy planets, and look at Neptune, it's at 24 degrees. It's coming up to, soonish to a critical degree as well. Venus will be out of that critical degree by the day after the full moon or the new moon. So at any rate, we're looking at really things culminating, things hitting critical mass, getting ready for a new beginning in terms of endings. So let's look at the aspects that we have here. I want to look first at this square, because remember that squares and oppositions and some conjunctions, depending on the planets, generate energy. They generate tension, they generate stress energy, they bring things to your attention, they come and get your ass. So these are the stress aspects. The flowing aspects are freebies that are there waiting for us to recognize them and use them. And if we don't recognize them, they're just going to lay there, and so we need to take advantage of those. But the square we have here is Mercury squaring Uranus. In this chart, it's not exact, close to it, but it's applying, which means Mercury is closing in on that exact aspect. So Mercury is in Aquarius, which is the sign of its exaltation. And that means Mercury comes to its highest expression in the sign of Aquarius. It rules the signs of Gemini and Virgo, but its highest expression is in Aquarius. Now, why is that? Mercury is the fundamental functioning of our mind, how we communicate, how we learn things, the logistics of our lives, how we navigate those logistics, how we, it's basic knowledge. So it rules the 3rd house, which is elementary school, among other things. And so it's basic learning, the basic functioning of your mind. When you put it in Aquarius, Aquarius is the higher octave, where we start to really use that basic knowledge and innovate from that basic knowledge. And we start to see what's the point of this? Is it to benefit? And so the Uranian vibe, because Uranus rules Mercury here, is in service to humanity. How can we move things forward to a humanitarian place? With Mercury squaring Uranus, Uranus's action is sudden, disruptive, unexpected, and it can be like mega flashes of insight, but in a square, we're going to be in some way forced to innovate, forced to deal with things being shaken up, to maybe trash an old way of being or an old schedule, old habits, and make new ones. But it's going to be stressful. It's not an easy, I think I'll do this today. It's, oh shit, now I'm forced to. And Mercury squaring Uranus all by itself can make the mind very jumpy and anxious and make it sort of hard to, follow thoughts, because you might be getting downloads like mad. But with Uranus sitting in Taurus and the ruler of this square, it does kind of bring us down to earth a little bit, because that Mercury-Uranus square could easily veer into eccentricities and outlandish ideas and just weird things that are just there to go against the grain. So this is the opportunity to awaken the mind. Uranus is the awakener. Mercury is the mind. To awaken the mind in a practical way, and we're going to feel like our routines are shaken up, but this is our chance to revise them, to update them, to make sure they're working correctly for us, and to move your mind into a higher realm. This is mind and consciousness and awareness, and so however it hits you through this square, look at it as this is also an opportunity to update and to innovate. Okay, we also have Mercury trining Mars. This also can make the mind very, very active. And Mercury is ruling Mars. So this could make us tend to want to split our energies a little bit. Mars in Gemini just kind of doesn't know where to focus, and it's very easy to scatter energies. Mars trine Mercury just says that you can really do some mental heavy lifting here. And it does bode well for like making schedules and that basic logistical, structure planning and stuff like that. But it can cause us to kind of split our mental energies a lot. So if you find that you're not sleeping too well on this new moon, I can understand why. But with 4 planets in Pisces, maybe you're going to be sleeping just fine. Very interesting mix here. Okay, let me see what else I was looking at. We have Venus sitting in Pisces, about ready to move into Aries. Venus is also in the sign of its exaltation. So Venus and Mercury are mental functioning, and our value system and our affections and the pleasure principle are both in the most optimal signs ever. So you can take advantage of that information. Venus going into Aries makes us get a little aggressive with our values, and I don't know why the word freewheeling is coming into my mind as far as the pleasure principle, but that's not this chart. Venus is in Pisces here, and I'm sorry I'm all over the map because obviously this is in play already, you guys. Okay, so we have a Pluto-Venus sextile in that critical degree. We have Pluto the transformer, Venus the lover, the appreciator, the pleasure seeker. And as a sextile, this gives us opportunities to use this critical mass time to transform our value systems. So Venus in Pisces, as far as values, can talk about, again, being aware of the underdog, aware of the less fortunate, aware of suffering. And it might, in this way, tend to be people that suffer in a material way, in a resource way. And the opportunity is there for us to transform our thinking and look at how we can contribute in some way to that. Saturn at a critical degree going from Aquarius into Pisces. Saturn in Pisces, once it hits there, and I'll just touch on it here because it's still in Aquarius in this chart, but Saturn in Pisces is going to kind of make it difficult to get a grip on structure and schedule and timeliness and, all that kind of stuff. But we'll worry about that. We'll burn that bridge when we get to it, as they say. We have also Mercury sextiling Chiron. So while our mind is kind of getting ridden like a bad pony and we're looking at how we can update things or being forced to update things, there's an opportunity here for us to process trauma and to look at how we can be more active in that regard as well with Chiron in Aries. And, the thing that's come to the forefront with Chiron moving through Aries has been our warlike ways and the trauma that it causes to this entire planet. So the emphasis here, I'm looking at those last 3 signs and this new moon in Pisces saying it's time to look at what needs to be updated and in terms of what needs to be ended in order to update things. And you might have been thinking about this stuff for a long, long time, but Uranus in Taurus there is saying it's time to start it. It's time to be practical about it. It's time to take the steps. So I would say at this new moon, look at, maybe do the mental work, get it down on paper, look at what you can, where to start. Where do I start? I want to change my life. Where do I start? And with all that Piscean energy, it always, always, always works to call on spirit and ask to be guided. And truthfully, if you're, cleaning and stuff with all this Pisces energy, you can go into that ADHD Zen mode of cleaning where you say, I'm going to take care of this one thing, and then that thing leads you to another thing and leads you to another thing, and you end up doing the entire house in one day. Those were the days. I think that might be all I have to say about this, but really focus on how you can begin to bring closure. Maybe the word endings isn't the best. It's closure. And that really brings out the Neptunian vibe here and the Piscean vibe. Closure means we have to grieve things. That's certainly a Piscean thing. That we need to really look at and become aware of where we have had loss, of where we've had to sacrifice. You know, Venus in Pisces saying, where have we had to sacrifice on a material level? And how can we go about acknowledging those losses and those sacrifices so that we can grieve them and be ready to start again? With a new moon in Pisces, you know, to truly start something new, starting a meditation regimen would be the perfect thing. You know, very good. Saturn, and I want to say too, Saturn here, gosh, how did I not talk about this? Saturn conjuncts this new moon, and it's a separating aspect, but since it's sun moon, you know, a new moon, there's plenty of power there that makes it count. Saturn in Aquarius is a bit of a stabilizing influence because it is Saturn, but we still have the volatility of Uranus ruling that Saturn. But again, Uranus sits in Taurus, so there is some grounding and some practicality and some down-to-earthiness about it. So let Saturn help you to structure all of this Piscean energy and, you know, tap into that Uranian energy of it's time to get started now. I've been thinking about getting rid of XYZ forever, and now it is time to start on this Pisces new moon. Okay, I hope that made sense, you guys. I feel like I was rambling for a lot of that, but, you know, not to be done about it. I hope to see you on a live stream really soon. If you got something out of this, please like and subscribe and comment down below. I love to hear your insights. I will see you next time, and until then, this is Luna. Blessed be.